Dear colleagues, in this section we'd like to speak with you about the Live with Intent Effectiveness Cockpits. Example from real life. I was sitting in Munich in a nice steak restaurant with a CFO, and we had an evening dinner, and I was sharing what I was doing. He was sharing with what his job is like and where he has challenges in effectiveness. So just after the steak, before the dessert, I pulled out the iPad and I said, hey, would you mind checking out an effectiveness cockpit? I think it'd be interesting. I'd be interested to see where you stand there. So yeah, he pushed the levers for a few minutes, sent the cockpit off, as you know, right? And within seconds, he had the finished Live with Intent Effectiveness Cockpit in his inbox. He opened it up and he couldn't believe it. There was a complete snapshot, a first diagnosis of his effectiveness. And indeed, we had a much deeper discussion than we otherwise would have had about his effectiveness, his team effectiveness. And something interesting happened, that because of the professionality and because of the rigor of the diagnostic tool, the whole discussion was on a different level. It was on a different plane. And that's my experience with many clients, right? As we have professional diagnosis tool in hands and listen with a professional diagnose, all of a sudden we get asked to solve very different problems.
Yeah, and I think diagnosis is one of your real strong points, Thomas. I gain a lot from you in that. And the principle for me is that your competence in diagnosis translates into your solutions and your solutions competence. So one of the things that I've experienced is when a customer feels and believes that I really understand their need, they assume I have the answer. And when you have a really good diagnosis and can articulate the needs, feelings, wants of those you're serving, they assume you have the answer. They trust that you'll have your answer. So there's also a responsibility with a good diagnosis.
Absolutely. And for us, in our tribe, your key strength with the diagnosis tool is we invite you, find the key strengths of your clients. Identify their key strengths. And then as you look through the diagnose, understand where are there patterns of behavior that are coming again and again. So as you understand that, you can offer a deep solution in solving that.
And maybe one tip in how you use these diagnostics. Thomas, you mentioned look for their strengths. That's the unnatural thing for most of us as humans to do. Yeah. Usually the person you're coaching, they'll immediately see in the picture gaps. And part of the value that we bring is to help them not overlook what their strengths are. And the reason that's important is because the word strength is synonymous with joy. We get good at something because we do it a lot, and we do it a lot because we enjoy it. And so getting to know somebody's strengths also helps you know what it is they enjoy. Where do they find their joy? And when you tap into that, they're much more motivated to do the demanding by design work.
Yeah. And I'm excited that the client feels that you are so much more professional because you're using professional diagnosis tools. So that professionality gets translated to us, and we are in a constant observation. Are you adding value right now? Is the coaching adding value? Or is this person that I'm now speaking with, will they really help my team? Will they support my team? Will they make a difference with my team? Now, you can answer that in the first few iterations already with professional diagnosis instruments. Now we diagnose, as you know, on the level of the individual, on the level of the team, on the level of the leader, and on the level of the organization. Now imagine if you know your details on those 4 levels, and you have a snapshot of a small team, and you actually share that feedback with the team, you're building trust, and you're in a discussion that it would take your peers a lot of work to actually match that level of quality of discussion. And that's when it starts to being fun, right? I mean, it's hard work, right, to coach and to listen and to do our work, but it really starts getting fun when people perceive you as being in the top tier in really helping them.
And it's one thing to have data, it's another thing to have data visualized. And that's what I really like about the Cockpit, is that it's a very visual tool that you can intuit. You can use your intuition to get insights and see patterns. So what is our point in one sentence? Diagnosis competence translates into value creation.